Hello everybody and welcome back to Explain 11. Today I'm going to do something special. I'm going to fly one of the most dangerous approaches in the world and one of the most beautiful, the infamous Paro airport approach. So we're going to fly this Toliss A319 from Kathmandu to the Paro airport in Bhutan, and only just a handful of pilots qualified to fly this approach, and only captains can fly this approach. I'm neither a captain nor qualified, but going to attempt it anyway. I practiced a little bit. And we have this beautiful Toliss A319, which also has the BSS Soundpack, and it recently received the 2.0 update, so we're going to check out that as well. So, let's go. Okay, here we have our AVI tab. We're going to VQPR Paro Airport, and we're going to land on runway 33 today, which is good. I think runway 15 is a little bit more challenging. And we're going to take the RNAV Y approach to runway 33, and here we are. We're going to enter the approach at PR 888. There are a lot of constraints. No wonder we are going to fly in the valleys. And PR 710 going to take over from autopilot and land on runway 33. And airport elevation 7,364. And the missed approach procedure. So it's going to be challenging. The workload is going to be high. And we have a nice map here from the area Kathmandu. And I'm also using a retexture of the cockpit. I got it from the Explain forums, and in my opinion looks a lot better than the original. So here we go, batteries on 2 and external power. And put those monitors to a little bit brighter. Setting also for the ECAM, MCDUs, and for the first officer. Increase brightness for the PFD and ND. And emergency lights. Test the annunciator. And passenger signs. So, up here, adheres to nav, and do the fire test. Well, no sound yet. Oh, there we go. And maybe now. Alright. So that's taken care of. And let's go to the MCDU. So we're going to go from Kathmandu to Paro. It's a shorter flight, about 40 minutes. And align IRS. And let's pick something. Bhutan Air. Oops, maybe that was too long. So let's go with BHT. And we can also fly with Druk Air. I also have the livery for the A319 for that, but maybe for the next flight. Cost index 6 and 310. Not going to spend much time at 310. Yeah, maybe next time we're going to attempt a landing on runway 15. And let's load the aircraft. Block fuel is going to be 5. And here we can also put 5.0. And passengers. 136, and zero fuel weight is exactly so 27.5, zero fuel weight CG slash 56.6. And flight plan, it's pretty easy. Actually, let's listen to the 80s first. Here Kathmandu airport has an 80s information. Also using the default airport scenery, and radio is on, but this area is enhanced with ortho for XP. Also the Paro airport area, and I got some other enhancements. So 2988 and departing runway 02. Oops, did not want to switch off that radio. And 02 and Y1B and Kimti transition. And from there, B354 actually. No, 345, yeah. To Tumle. And from here we can already set the approach. Oh, this one. Left line select key and AirNav 3GY and the Subsu 1 with the PR888. Insert. And disco. And flight plan is correct. And going to depart with 1, flap setting 1, and also flex. And up 0.5. And flex 56. We are not that heavy, and the runway is long enough. Actually, its airport sits really high. But anyway, flex should be alright, even without a packs of takeoff, and I do want to have wingtips or sharklets. Now looks much better. And Iris still needs 5 minutes. And going straight to 31,000 feet. Transition altitude is 13,800 or 13,500, somewhere around that. Yep, 13.5. And fuel tanks or fuel pumps. And we can actually start the APU soon, so we can get at and depart from this runway quickly. Alright, there we have it. Flap open and start the APU. I really like this livery, and also this cockpit enhancement. It looks fantastic. So I'm just waiting for the APU or the IRSs, and runway 02 we have to taxi all the way and backtrack. Cannot go straight to the on the taxiways. Going to have to turn around at the end. And APU bleed. And external power off. Also get rid of it. And what else? RS still needs 2 minutes. Actually, we can get the climb winds in the meantime. Flying with real weather. Only thing I did, I enhanced the visibility a little bit. It was quite foggy, so we can do this flight. But other than that, everything is on the real world weather settings. So let's pre-plan the pushback. I think when the pushback guy gets here, then we already have the irises aligned.
Ground to cockpit. Plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you are ready.
And once again, going with something random. Beautiful.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
And 2 is driving up. When he gets here, then we have iris alignment. Yeah, it indicates 0 minutes. And a couple of buildings, yeah, texture stuttering. Cannot seem to do anything to get rid of it. But that's just minor stuff. And there we go, GPS primary. Have to be expeditive and not waste any time. Alright, push everything in. Beacon lights on. And we are looking good.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect. So connected and bypass been inserted. Release parking brake.
Parking brake released.
Starting pushback. And you may start engine.
And ignition start. And engine number 2. Let's listen to those CFM engines starting. And number 1. And beautiful sounds. Once again, ortho for orthographic scenery does not look especially nice here from the ground, but once we are up in the air it's going to be a little bit better, especially those hills in the background. And we have a good start.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
And parking brake set.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
And APU bleed off, and APU can also be switched off soon. So let's make sure everything is correct. And set flaps 1. So we can go to the flight controls page and trim it 0.5 up.
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
And we can do the flight control test. Actually, can I get this page also to display? Oops. Well, no. So full left, full right, full up, full down, and rudder. I wanted to have that eCam page here also, but in the outside view, cannot seem to do that. And there we have the hand signal, taxi lights, and we are good to go. Parking brake off, and auto brakes to max. Arm the ground spoilers, and check the cabin. Nice tier config, no blue, so we are rolling. Okay, here we have to make a 180, and the lights are on. Those lights on takeoff, and TCAS TARA. And going a bit fast, so step on the brakes gently. Quickly turn around, line up with the center line, and Takeoff. Okay, nice. Step on the brakes. Throttle to the flex detent. Increase it a little bit, let it stabilize. And flex. Man, SRS. Looking great. Push the yoke or the stick down until 80 knots. Halves with the nose wheel steering. And 80 knots. And we'd also have done a toga takeoff, but this runway is long enough. And V1, rotate slowly. And gear up. Nose lights off and initiate a gentle left turn. Ground spoilers disarm. Up ahead there is a speed change point. Until then I'm going to stay flaps 1. And here we have the lever climb message. And push the nose down. And up ahead we can see the beautiful hills. Okay, straighten it out. And I'm going to let autopilot take over. Oops, I forgot to put on the strobe lights. And we are on our way to Paro airport. So, 10,000 feet, landing lights off. And soon we can pull up the flaps completely. It's going to put terrain, radar for the first officer. However, for the approach I'm going to shut the system off. And flaps 0. Yeah, the engine sounds are a little bit better in this 2.0 version of the Soundpack. All in all, it's a nice update. And seatbelt signs off. Could be a little bit bumpy on the way. Flying with real weather. And here we have our top descent point. You can also see the top of climb point and the top of descent point. Not going to spend much time at 13,000 or 31,000 feet. Let's just prepare already. Beautiful. Here we can see the difference between the orthographic and the standard scenery. And standard 2992. Alright, this is where the fun begins. And looks like we have a weather update. Got some new clouds. And already tuned into the local ATIS. Well, actually, Paro does not have an ATIS, it has an automated weather observation system. And doesn't look like I can boost the voice. But in X-Plane, it's the same. AVOS is the same as ATIS, we get the most relevant information. And descent. At that point, the deceleration point, the autopilot will automatically go into the approach phase. And now we can fill in all the necessary information here. Winds 030 at 9. Not too bad. And transition is 180. So that's done. And switch it over. Actually, let's switch off that system. I've seen some videos where the captain's turning off GPWS for this approach. And here we have our waypoints, a lot of altitude constraints. It's a pretty fun approach. Yeah, runway 33. And where are we? Oh yeah, there's the little airplane. And beautiful orthographic scenery. Had to use the ARC source in Ortho4XP. With zoom level of 17, looks amazing. So the deceleration point is coming up. Switch it over to performance page, and approach phase will automatically be activated when we reach that point up ahead. It's going to slow down to 185 and then put it back to manage mode for the landing later on. Also going to extend flaps 1 and gonna have to use the speed brakes a lot to manage speed and descent. Actually, autopilot does a decent job, but a little bit of fine-tuning is required for this approach, and also practice. And here we go. Approach phase. Could be that it will be not the most pleasant landing, or maybe we're going to have to execute a go around. And 185. Use the speed brakes. Beautiful snowy peaks. And cabin altitude, going to increase that. Airport sits at 7,360 feet. And here we come. Actually, let's put the speed brakes up once again. Just use a little bit. Manage this plane. Don't want to end up too fast or too high. Yeah, there is an older procedure, a VOR approach, and that's more complicated. And 2988. There, up ahead, we have to make a left descent into a valley and then use a visual approach and manage mode. Also using the FlyAGI or FlyAGI Vegetation. Trees are looking much better than the standard X-Plane 11 trees. Just looking awesome. And we are beginning to turn soon to the left. And speed brakes up completely. (14,000 feet). Up ahead is the constraint 11,800, and we are going down into that valley. In real life there are a lot of visual reference points. There's supposed to be a place where two rivers merge, and there is a bridge. That is one reference point. And this is the airport using the standard scenery. Actually, there is a pretty good airport scenery on the Explain.org Explain store, but I don't have it yet. Well, actually I have the Paro airport surroundings package from the Explain forums. So we are seeing a couple of traditional buildings for this area. And we are a bit fast, so slowing down. And after the constraint up ahead, just going to put 7500. Later an FPA of -3 degrees, but when we make that left turn, just going to take over and fly it manually. And speed brakes. And soon we can go to flaps 2. And 7500. Let's put in an FPA of -3. And here we have a couple of nice buildings. Now we're going to go down that valley. And landing lights. And we are still at 11,000, but workload will be pretty high. Okay, stop messing around with the views. Time to concentrate on my aircraft. And descending. So we want to fly as close to the ground as we can. Well, not like a fighter jet, avoiding radar. And gear down, auto brakes medium, cabin, and ground spoilers. So we are making a right turn. Meanwhile, check everything. And there is the runway up ahead. So I want to fly over this little hill up ahead, but pretty close to it, and then make a left and then a right and line up with the runway. It's not going to be much time, but we are at flaps 4, gear down, no blue, auto brakes medium. And up ahead to the right, I don't know what happened with the scenery. Yeah, orthographic scenery sometimes does that, but still looking amazing. And here we go, turning to the left. Oops, I did not mean to do that. Possibly clipping some trees with the wingtips, chocolates, and here we go. Turn right. Also want to be hugging the ground, and there's the runway. And here we go. And rudder to the left. Retard. Not bad. Minus 262 or minus 216.53. Poor and late flare. Oh well, wasn't going for the best flare. And manual braking. Reversers are already stowed. Possibly could be the best landing that I ever did at this airport. Only practiced about 6 landings, 2 at this runway and 4 at the other one. Or at the other end. Runway 15. Lights. Oh, come on. There we go. Flaps are already up. And turning. Vacate the runway. It's a really fun flight to do. And maybe next time I'm going to take Druk Air, fly the same route, but attempt a landing at runway 15. And I've seen a video where a more professional captain, well actually a professional captain, does the same landing on runway 33 that I have just landed on. He lined up with the runway much earlier than I did. Let's look for a parking position. APU starting. Try to park this aircraft in an acceptable fashion. And how we're looking, gonna have to take a look outside. Actually, we could go forward a little bit. And sounds like the APU is already powering the aircraft. And parking brake on. And the APU bleed. And we can listen to the engines. Yep, switch them off. Alright, let's take a look at the replay. Thank you for joining me for this amazing flight, and see you in the next one. Take care.